Success does not arrive on a dramatic morning with trumpets and applause. It does not knock loudly on your door and announce that today is your lucky day. Success is much quieter than that. It usually begins on an ordinary day, when nothing special seems to be happening, when the world looks the same as it did yesterday, but something inside you makes a decision. That decision is not about working harder tomorrow or dreaming bigger next year. It is the day you stop making excuses. That is the day success quietly takes its first step toward you. I once knew a man who complained about everything, and he did it with great confidence. He complained about the economy, about the weather, about his boss, about his upbringing, about the city he lived in, and even about opportunities that did not come wrapped the way he expected. He was intelligent, well-spoken, and full of explanations for why life had not turned out the way he hoped. If explanations were currency, he would have been wealthy beyond imagination. Yet year after year, his life stayed exactly the same. He was not lazy, but he was comfortable with reasons. And comfort with reasons is one of the most dangerous places a person can live. One afternoon, we sat together and he began his usual list. He said success was easier for people with connections, easier for people born into the right families, easier for people living in better countries, easier for people who had more luck. I listened carefully, not to argue, but to understand. Then I asked him a simple question. If all those things changed tomorrow, would you change with them? He paused, not because he lacked an answer, but because he had never asked himself that question before. You see, excuses do not just protect us from failure. They protect us from responsibility. And responsibility is the doorway to growth. Most people think excuses are harmless. They believe excuses are simply explanations, a way to stay emotionally safe when results do not show up. But excuses are not neutral. Every excuse you accept becomes a brick in a wall that separates you from your potential. The wall is built slowly, one brick at a time, and because it rises quietly, most people do not notice it until years later when they wonder why they feel trapped. By then, the wall feels permanent, even though it was built entirely by choice. Let me tell you something important. Life will always give you a reason to quit, a reason to wait, a reason to complain, and a reason to say maybe tomorrow. The weather will not always cooperate. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will not always line up. You will feel tired, unmotivated, and uncertain more often than you feel inspired. If success depended on perfect conditions, no one would ever achieve it. The difference between those who move forward and those who stay stuck is not talent or luck. It is the decision to stop negotiating with excuses. There was a time when I believed my own excuses. I told myself I was too young, then later I told myself I was too old. I told myself I needed more knowledge before I could begin. And when I gained knowledge, I told myself I needed more confidence. I told myself I would start when the timing was right, not realizing that the timing never becomes right for those who wait. What changed my life was not a sudden burst of motivation. It was a moment of honesty. I realized that every excuse I made sounded reasonable, but none of them were producing results. Here is the truth most people avoid. Excuses feel good in the short term, but they cost you your future. They give you temporary relief from discomfort, but they quietly steal your self-respect. Over time, excuses teach you to lower your expectations of yourself. You stop asking what is possible and start asking what is acceptable. And the day you start settling for acceptable is the day your growth slows to a crawl. Success begins the day you stop saying, "I can't," and start asking, "How can I?" That shift may seem small, but it changes everything. When you ask how, your mind begins searching for solutions. When you make excuses, your mind searches for escape routes. One leads to progress, the other leads to repetition. The same year over and over again, just with different calendar pages. I once met a farmer who taught me a lesson I never forgot. He said the soil does not care about your excuses. If you do not plant in the spring, you cannot harvest in the fall. The soil does not negotiate. It does not feel sorry for you. It responds only to action. Life works the same way. It does not reward intention, explanation, or effort alone. It rewards consistent action. You can explain all day why you did not plant, but when harvest season comes, explanations do not fill the barn. Many people wait for motivation before they take responsibility. That is backwards. Responsibility comes first. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. When you take responsibility for where you are, you regain power. When you blame circumstances, you give power away. And power given away is rarely returned without a fight. Stopping excuses does not mean life suddenly becomes easy. It means life becomes honest. You stop pretending that someone else controls your outcomes. You stop waiting for permission. You stop hoping for rescue. And that honesty can be uncomfortable at first. It forces you to face your habits, your choices, and your discipline, but it also unlocks something extraordinary. It gives you ownership of your future. Think about how often people say, "I don't have time." Time is not something you find, it is something you allocate. We all receive the same 24 hours. The difference lies in priorities. When something matters enough, people find a way. When it does not, they find an excuse. This is not judgment, it is observation. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. There is a powerful freedom that comes when you stop making excuses. You stop lying to yourself, you stop waiting for perfect conditions, you accept that growth is uncomfortable, discipline is inconvenient, and progress is slow at first. But you also discover something encouraging. Small actions, repeated daily, begin to change how you see yourself. Confidence grows not from words, but from kept promises to yourself. One day, the man I mentioned earlier came back to me. He looked different, not on the outside, but in his posture and his tone. He said something had changed. He stopped explaining his life to others and started improving it for himself. He took responsibility for his mornings, his learning, his effort, and his attitude. His circumstances had not magically transformed, but his trajectory had. He was no longer standing still. He was moving forward, and movement changes everything. The moral here is simple, but it is not easy. You do not need more time, more luck, or more approval. You need fewer excuses. Success begins the moment you accept that where you are is the result of choices, and where you are going depends on new ones. The day you stop making excuses is the day you stop giving your power away. From that day forward, every step may not be perfect, but it will be yours. So decide today to be honest with yourself. Decide to trade explanations for effort, comfort for growth, and excuses for responsibility. Life will not suddenly applaud you, but it will respond. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that success did not begin with a breakthrough moment. It began quietly, on the day you stopped making excuses and started becoming the person your future required.